for you today to give you a little bit of an energy update and a little bit of what I am personally myself experiencing. So, a lot of times things get brought to my attention by what happens to me during the day. So, yesterday I was on the main drag of my neighborhood in Northside where I live, and I was behind this person that had on super loud rap music. And it gave me quite a chuckle that somebody would actually, and I love loud music, don't get me wrong, but this person's windows on their car were shaking and the trunk was rattling. And when I looked at the back of the car, the license plate was reverberating so hard that the bolts, the screws that hold the license plate in, were coming out. This person was a few minutes from losing their license plate. And at first I thought it was funny, but then I thought about it more deeply for a second, as the Scorpio mind always wants to do. And I thought, what am I doing, or what are we doing as a collective that we're doing internally that's rattling our vehicle or our light body or our avatar? So the loud music, again, it was going so hard that the screws were about to come out of this license plate. And all I could think was, what are each of us doing that are rattling ourselves on the inside and not allowing our own peace, even though I'm sure many of us like loud music. And what that made me think of a lot of times is the energy that's going on right now, and specifically when we follow other people in the community, the things we hear, the things we see out there that we don't always resonate with, or sometimes we follow for a short time before we realize that that thing is just bullshit. So the first thing I want to talk about is the bullshit today. So there's this big component to feeling like people need to keep regurgitating the fact that disconnecting from our own lower emotions and our personal struggles is what it means to ascend, what it means to get yourself to a higher vibration, means that I'm no longer sad, I'm no longer in a state of confusion, I no longer get angry, right? Because I'm in this high vibration now. Well, as we raise our vibration higher and higher, we then start to access these other dimensions that have all these gifts in them. But we've not left our 3D body, so we still have anger, we still have confusion, we still have all these 3D emotions. And there's this big, to me, misnomer that as we start to ascend, or we're on this ascension path, that we lose the connection with the lower emotions. We don't lose the connection with the lower emotion. The point here is to be your own internal sage. The point here is to be your own internal compass, and not for someone else to tell you that if you're on the ascension path and you're raising your vibration and you're doing all these things that you should be doing, that you're no longer experiencing the lower emotions. That's crazy. So, becoming multidimensional, when you start to pull in those higher aspects of yourself and even other people, like maybe your divine partnership, your twin flame, your soulmate connection, the whole point in doing that is so that when I do get angry, when I do get sad, when I am confused, that I can view that in a multi-dimensional way. So my higher self doesn't say to me, oh, Tina, you're not supposed to be angry, or you're not supposed to be disappointed, or you're not supposed to feel lower emotions. The whole point in those higher aspects are to be your own compass through that. So when you get angry or frustrated, you can say, okay, Tina, why are we angry? Why are we frustrated? So the higher aspect is the one that is the observer that says, okay, you're really disappointed in something. You're really disappointed that this thing happened. But the higher aspect says, Tina, pay attention. What is the lesson here? What are you learning from this situation? That's what it means to become multidimensional. Again, we don't disengage from our lower emotions, from our lower feelings, from our lower 3D happenings. We are able to experience those and express those from our own higher dimensional perspective and navigate and be our own compass and our own sage to make it through those things. We do not solve any kind of struggle within us or within our own lives by disengaging and disconnecting when we feel angry or hurt. It's quite the exact opposite. And I think that's really important to know, because I think a lot of us have recognized that there is a small group of people that are kind of in this like love and light energy. I will, disengage from the lower emotions. I'll disengage from my own personal struggle. I'll disengage from the 3D aspects of myself. We don't learn and we don't grow by disengaging from ourselves. We don't learn and we don't grow by disengaging from our emotions. And we don't learn and we don't grow by disconnecting with an emotion that comes to us on a 3D level. It's all about raising ourselves up simultaneously and saying, why am I experiencing this? What is the lesson in this? Because if you disengage from that lower emotion or bury it or try to keep yourself from crying or feeling whatever it is that you need to go through, you will do nothing. You will push that down, you will suppress that emotion, and then that will disallow you from learning. That will disallow you from following your internal compass that is saying to you, I have this emotion that really feels the need to be expressed, and I'm disallowing it because I believe that love and light is the only thing that multidimensional is about. So when we really get into allowing and inviting ourselves to be multidimensional, we will look at our 3D aspects, our 4D aspects, our 5D aspects. We will just look at all of it across the board. Hopefully none of you felt like commenting because there has been an issue, so I have turned my comments off. I will turn them back on once the video is done, but there are some interactions here that I choose to disengage from because my higher perspective said I don't need to be distracted by anybody else's negativity while I'm in the middle of doing this. So that's the first thing that I wanted to really put out there, because I know with this full moon in Virgo, there's a whole lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda, done something, said something, been somewhere, all of this stuff. And for me, that full moon energy comes in a couple days before and it lingers a couple days after. So I want you to know how important it is for you to express what it is that you are emotionally going through in the moment, and not trying to bury it and telling yourself that I'm not multidimensional or I haven't done a good job in raising my frequency. because the biggest reason to raise our frequency is so that within our own multidimensional self, we can make the judgment on the emotion we're going through. We can look at it, we can learn from it, and we can move through it. Now, I'm bringing this up now because the energy is so intense on multiple levels for multiple reasons. The next thing that I want to talk about is divine partnership. I'm still experiencing the friends that I have wanting to be really shy and really closed down and really non-communicative at this point, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One is I think people are experiencing things, relationship dynamics, telepathic conversations, and things like that, that go of the mind and drop into the heart space. And I know it can be really hard to do that, and it can certainly be really, really hard to talk to other people when you're experiencing these kind of things where you feel like, I'm going to go crazy if I don't talk about this. But if I do talk about it, somebody else might think that I am crazy as well. And for that reason, I would like to give a big shout out to my friend Herman, who has been like a big brother to me for the last 7 years. Whenever I want like the male perspective on how to deal with something, a situation, from the divine masculine point of view, or what would be an easier way to receive, a message or communication or something, I go to him. He says he watches my videos and wonders when I'm going to give him credit, and I'm not sure what he exactly wants credit for. But he has been a very big protector and a very big older brother energy for me for the last 7 years. We've gone through some very difficult and very challenging things for him. But I can still communicate with him when I really, really need something. I really need that divine masculine point of view. I can get that from him, and I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Herman, who I doubt will see this because he tells me he watches like 1 minute of my video just to see if I'm okay, and then he ducks out. He is very concerned about me being mostly protected from the energy out there and some of the aggression that he has seen maybe the last couple times he's been on here, kind of with like unwanted feedback and stuff like that. So thank you, Herman, for doing that. I talked to him the other day, and the reason that I talked to him was I've had a reoccurring dream since I was in 8th grade and had my very first boyfriend. If you can even consider an 8th grade boyfriend a boyfriend, I don't know. What do? Walk to school together. But ever since my very first boyfriend in 8th grade, I've been having the same reoccurring dream that my sister, who's slightly older than me, 11 months older than me, she steals the love of my life. Okay, so this dream has been going on for 40 years now. I've dreamed that I meet the love of my life and she steals him. The reason why I reached out to Herman is he's done a lot of things in the outward world that I haven't done. I don't go to people for tarot readings. I haven't had past life regressions. I don't do anything with external help. I've done all of this by myself. But I reached out to him because I know these are some things that he's done before, and I really couldn't get to the bottom of it. So a couple of days ago, I had a dream that I finally met the love of my life. He was in my physical presence. He got here, and the only thing he was interested in was my sister. So it went back to that same sister thing again. Now, the weird part about that is personality-wise, looks-wise, interest-wise, me and my sister couldn't be more polar opposite. Now, I did say I started having this dream in 8th grade. my boyfriend in 8th grade did not like my sister, and my sister did not like him. So there was no reason for that dream, and it's still continuing to this day. What Herman said to me now was, who is this person? I briefly told him who this person was, and he said, the culmination of this 40-year dream has specifically to do with that person that you're interacting with now. It doesn't have anything to do with your 8th grade boyfriend, and you probably made a decision with your sister in this lifetime to not ever have the same taste in men again. But weird. And I reached out to him because I was tired of it. This dream was devastating to me, and I woke up, my pillow was sopping wet, and I was just absolutely devastated by this. It was just, I had to find a way to kind of get to the bottom of it. And honestly, I had no idea how. But once he told me he thought it pertained more to the person that I'm dealing with now, that made a whole lot of sense to me. So again, thank you for that, my friend and older brother, Herman, brother from a different mother. So that leads me into the next thing that I want to talk about. And there is this unseen, sometimes and most of the times for most of us, unheard connection with somebody that maybe we don't know who the person is, or maybe we do know who the person is, but we've never been in their physical presence. Divine partnership, twin flame, soulmate. I hate to use labels because then people stop listening to the energetic of what is happening right now or what I'm trying to get across, and they kind of delve into that label, which is what I'm hoping to avoid here. So whatever that label is for you, there has been energetically this thing going on for the past couple weeks where when I lay down to go to bed at night, I feel like I'm not by myself. I feel like I'm not by myself all night long. And then I wake up expecting, I know this is going to sound insane, but I wake up expecting that person to be there because energetically they're there so often that it's so strong that I almost expect them to appear in the physical in the morning. And I know that sounds crazy, but you know how it is when you're asleep and you're dreaming and you're in this vivid other world where anything and everything feels possible. A lot of us are going through these kind of connections where we feel somebody's presence in our life or in our home. And I know it's really hard. I actually posted something on Facebook, and I haven't been really posting anywhere other than coming here to make these videos. I haven't been posting or interacting with anything other than doing videos with Chris on Rumble about things that I can't discuss here. I haven't been putting myself out there on social media in that format. But yesterday I posted a message from the Divine Masculine to the Divine Feminine, and man, people were really feeling the same thing that I was feeling and kind of looking at the negative aspects of it, which is hard not to do because we're still in a physical body, we're still hanging out in this avatar, and we think that any person, place, or thing that is meant for us would be here right this second, especially when we can feel the energy of it. So energetically right now, the veil is so thin of separation between this kind of expanded heart connection that you're probably feeling a lot of things that make you feel like you're crazy. You're probably experiencing and feeling a lot of things that you honestly don't think that you can talk to anybody about or open up about to anybody. It's really hard. Also, I know for me, it's extremely personal, so I don't want to share like a lot of personal information about this stuff for a lot of different reasons. Part of that reason is out of respect for that other person that I'm sharing this communication and this heart space connection with. So I know, you guys, I know how heart-wrenching this can be at times, and that's why I brought up about not, that is so bizarre. David Wilcox, stop going live while I'm live. That's just bizarre. Sorry, guys, I got distracted. But I know how strange it is, and I know how unsettling it is. And that's why I talked about first that we have to stop listening to this message outside of us coming from this spiritual community telling us that we have to disengage from sorrow or sadness or tears or disruption or any of this. We have to pay attention and be in our heart space and get out of our brain. And I've been talking about obsession for the last couple of videos. That's because you're not alone in the obsession. I'm right there with you. Okay, my friends. But yeah, I mean, I know it's hard. I've been experiencing these things for a long time. I've never experienced anything to the degree that I'm experiencing it right now. There are a lot of people, I don't watch a lot, but there is a guy, Steve's Love Tarot, and the reason why I watch him is he has a horrible, filthy mouth and he's hilarious. But bigger than that, the reason I watch him is because he studies soulmate and twin flame cycles and how they are affected by the planets and the different nodes and all that stuff. That's not something I know anything about. But what's so interesting for me is I'll write down about something in my journal or I'll talk about something to you guys and then realize that I am somehow pulling that with my antenna from the ethers, from those nodal points and from the different things that are going on astrologically that I'm not even aware of until I go back and watch his tarot reading. If you guys, he does all kinds of different readings, but if you want to like look at the soulmate cycle or twin flame cycle information, nodal points, and you want someone to really give you a good laugh, Steve's Love Tarot does it for me every time. Mostly because he always says Scorpio is the hottest sun sign in the tarot. They always are, because their person is always so nervous and so shy and so withdrawn. He always says, Scorpio, you just must be smoking hot. So I appreciate the humor, because there's a very big gap in our vulnerability, our wanting to be vulnerable, our feeling the need to be vulnerable, wanting to shut out vulnerability so that we can't get hurt. So yeah, it's hard to be vulnerable when you feel like your heart is on your sleeve, but yet here I am still doing it because I can't, you won't, you don't stop. That song from 8th grade always comes to my mind. So thank you guys. I hope this was helpful. Don't let anything that you're doing, whether that's a repetitive thought in your mind that you're not good enough or that you can't be vulnerable, stop you. Don't turn your internal music on so loud that you're rattling your own license plates and about to lose your own screw. Because I think if we're not our own sage and we don't feel like we can be our own compass here, then we're really rattling ourselves. We're really rattling our identity of who we are and what we want in the heart space if we're turning the music on so loud and disengaging from the things that we need to be looked at. And as always, spirit, higher self, our guardians, our ancestors, everybody that's on this divine partnership path right now, I've asked that a message comes through for us, because I didn't realize there were so many people going through such a hard time being vulnerable, expressing love, feeling like things are stuck, never going to happen, my person doesn't love me, all that stuff. So I ask for a message to come through specifically for us about that. And what I get is the Two of Cups. And the Two of Cups is all about divine partnership, soulmate, twin flame connection. It's all about having that love and that emotion with somebody that wants you the way you are, someone that sees you the way you are, someone that loves you the way you are, and that you can exchange, that you can pour back and forth between that cup of love, that cup of emotion, that heart-centered merge that happens in these kind of divine partnerships. And once that happens, you can block it or try to block it, or do any kind of 3D thing. You could be drinking, you could be going to bars, you could be doing all these things, but you're not going to disengage from the cycle of divine partnership. And it's not like this, it's not meant to be a torturous thing. It only feels like torture when you want something but don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, or you want something and you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, or to have the thing that you really want. That's the first thing that comes up. And the second thing that comes up from spirit and from the group's higher self is about walking away from anything that doesn't fulfill you emotionally. And that's across the board, whether that be your job, whether that be love, whether that be your commitments, whatever that is. I have stars in my pants. Did you see that? So walking away from things that are not emotionally fulfilling. And this is interesting that I had talked in my video about the things that I was hearing for myself and for the collective. And I had said something about, is it time to meditate, or should I go to a bar and pick someone up? Funny thing is, I'm walking down the street and this person just starts talking to me. Nobody ever talks to me when I'm taking a walk. I'm in a neighborhood that's really, really, really caught up in the 3D news cycle narrative. So most of the time people will run into the main drag and risk getting hit by a car to not speak to me or not look at me. And I just stopped waving and I stopped smiling. But anyway, this lady just started talking to me, and I thought maybe she's not talking to me. Maybe she just, didn't take her meds or whatever. So I take my earpiece out, I stop running, and I start talking to her, and she starts giving me her whole life story. And then she wants to know if I want a walking partner and all this stuff. And I just had asked the universe the day before to please provide me with some kind of speaking, communicative person in the 3D. So this lady shows up, right? I did not want to go to the bar, you guys. It was the last thing I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, I'll go, but I'm not going to put on makeup. I'm going, but I'm not, I'm not in it, right? So we go to the restaurant that she wants to go to, and it's closed for construction. How perfect. So we end up going to this other place. It ends up being the exact opposite as I think it's going to turn out. And I kept getting messages. If someone offers you to go out, go out, go out. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I can't, I'm free on YouTube. I can say whatever I want. You think I'm crazy? Then you can keep scrolling. But in my 3D life, it's hard because I'm on the point where I can't silence myself. I can't not be who I am. I can't not be psychic. I can't pretend. And I can do all of those things for 5 or 10 minutes, but that's about it. And this lady just started asking me questions, and she's like, "Are you a medium?" And that just delved into this whole conversation about psychic abilities and all kinds of things. And here was this 70-year-old woman, this complete and total stranger that listened to me talk for about 20 minutes. And then she looked me right in the eye and said, God gave you a lot of gifts, and you should be so grateful for those gifts. I don't have any of those gifts personally. My gifts are totally different. than your gifts. But you are gifted, and I would never make a judgment on that. It was just it was totally opposite of what I expected. So then she asked me to come back to her house afterwards, and we started talking about her apartment and all the construction she did. And I was like, man, who do you have for a landlord that lets you do all this crazy shit? Just do whatever the hell you want. She built a deck. She had 12 cats in the backyard. We talked about growing a vegetable garden over there. Turns out she has the same landlord I do. Then I ended up meeting her neighbor who came over, and that was really interesting because after spending an hour and a half having dinner with this lady and explaining to her what it's like, and her saying, oh wow, you must be such a great gift to, feel this way and be able to see into people. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes it is, but there's always the downside, right? Because you may know someone may pretend to like you, but then they can't stand you and you know it. And then there may be people that love you that don't even talk to you or won't admit it. So it can be really weird. So we carry on the conversation, and we go back to her house, and her neighbor starts waving to us. Her neighbor comes over so this lady's 20 years older than me. The neighbor's about 20 years younger than me. And she's like, oh, I don't know you. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but do you know what synchronicity is? Because when these synchronicities start happening in your life, and I was like, she's like, oh my God. And I said, I know, your whole life changes. You'll never go back. And so I end up in this 3D situation that never in a million years that I thought in one night I would find two people that I could actually be myself around. And Elle said to me, why do you keep yawning? Am I that boring? I said, no, you're not boring at all, but I never am, when I'm physically in someone's presence, I usually can't relax or let my guard down or be myself. And it's so wonderful to do that being around the two of you is relaxing me to the point of yawning. So don't take it personal. So then the other neighbor insisted that I come over to her house and look at her crystal collection. We talked about everything under the sun. And then she said, guess my sign. And I said, you're a Libra. And she's like, how do you know? And I said, don't ask. And then she said, I have a crystal ball and I want you to have it. I want you to take it home with you. Which was so funny. So I have a crystal ball. And that's my story of not wanting to go out last night. It ended up being a total blast. And both of them live a block and a half from me. So I actually have some people to walk with and some people to have conversations with in a 3D reality, which is very refreshing. If you guys know, you know what that's like to have all these energetic things popping up from you and feeling like you can't express yourself or talk about them. And I was just able to talk about things I haven't been able to talk about with anybody in a couple months. So if someone invites you out, trust me, take them up on it. You might get a crystal ball out of the deal. You never know. It was fantastic and it was wonderful. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much for being on Earth at this such an auspicious yet struggling yet just, it's beautiful. Again, we're multidimensional. It's beautiful. Some moments we feel things are connect with people and we connect with energies and we connect with all the stuff. And sometimes it's terrifying. Just because I get on here and speak about what I'm going through or how I can read the energy doesn't mean I'm not excited and terrified and all the same things that all of you are going through, because I am. I love you and I so appreciate you being here. And if anyone feels the need to interact, as soon as I get done with this video, I will. Oh wow, 3444. How nice. I will turn the comments back on so you guys can comment. I just didn't want to deal with that scenario I've been dealing with for the past couple of videos live. So thanks. Just know that you're loved, and know that everything is going to be okay, and know that the soulmate, twin flame, divine partnership thing that's going on in your bubble, in your energetic field, in your heart, in your body, in your mind, all of it, it's for a reason. We have to break ourselves down into the point where we can be open and vulnerable and express the love that we came here to express. Because if I can't learn how to do that with myself, and I can't learn how to do that with you, how are we ever going to change the world? We came here to change the world, but denying our own love and our love for other people will never change the world. That's why it starts with us. It starts with the face in the mirror. Bye, guys.